Welcome to the Root of It All podcast with Tree, where you will learn new habits for human betterment. We talk about all things related to personal growth, and everything is on the table. Each episode will explore different topics like self-care, mindfulness, goal setting, and more, with a focus on practical tips and actionable advice you can start implementing in your life today. Our goal is to help you become the best version of yourself and live a more meaningful life. So grab a drink, cozy up, take your dog for a walk, or go for a drive. Join us for some fun and meaningful conversations with some amazing humans. Let's grow together.
Hello, everybody, and welcome again to the Root of It All podcast with Tree. And today we have a returning guest. It's our first returning guest, which is awesome. And and it is Lisa MacNeill. And so when we had her on last time, we talked about resiliency, strength, and possibility, and how to view the world when we're in hard moments, and how to shift our mindset and stuff like that. And this time is a part 2 about chasing things, right? And so teach us what your new title is.
So it's a pretty full job. So it's an APD here on the island, Vancouver Island in BC. So it's an APD, which stands for Assistant Program Director or Assistant Station Manager.
Okay.
And I am also a midday announcer throughout the interior of BC. So I have a midday show that is syndicated, so sent out to other stations across BC and a few areas in Ontario. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of exciting stuff going on for you right now. So give us the goods. Like what are the things that you're super excited about right now?
Well, I've been in the media industry, as you know, for like almost 18 years now. So radio portion of that is TV, and so much of it has been amazing. Certainly not all, but much of it. And a few years back, I did something pretty cool, and part of my job was to be up in helicopters and airplanes reporting traffic and what we see to different outlets. And it was really, really cool. It was very exciting. And just given the course of the last nearly 1 year of just all the kinds of different things happening in my life, I felt like the universe was pushing me to take a leap into a new direction. And I needed to start hearing the whisper in my mind and paying attention and listening, and through silence and taking some moments where I just shut everything out. I blurted out to my husband, I want to become a pilot.
Okay.
The world's just
was not expecting this.
He was like, I'm sorry. And then my mom, who just about died in the car. And yeah, it was a moment for me where I'm like, I'm doing it. And so that's what I have been doing for the past month or so, is doing the ground training to get my private. And I'm up in the air as well to get my hours. So yeah, it's been busy and crazy.
And so it's so amazing how it is that we can experience something earlier on in our lives and how it loops around. And I also want to speak to, I know that everybody listening to this can really relate when every single human being had that little voice in our head and actually didn't listen to it. And then all of a sudden time goes by and we're like really kind of kicking ourselves for not actually honoring what it is that we truly want. And it's interesting because I had this conversation today with somebody about how it is that in society that we all have these sort of parameters, right? So when we look at North America, we are an entitled bunch, for one, okay? And and another piece of that is we have tons of rules, right? Which is good for society, it's good. But then there's these sort of rules that we have that are not written anywhere, but that we feel like we have to abide by when it comes to etiquette, or we should let other people be successful and not us, right? Which is not true, but sometimes shows up in people's nervous system. So kudos for you for like, I'm going to be a pilot, I'm doing this, and I'm experiencing it. So awesome.
Well, I think, and part of what I'm currently going through, because and I will say, I can say it with confidence, not ego, just confidence, that I know I'm very good at my job. I'm very good. I was so passionate about being on air and learning from people who had already been doing it a long time, and taking my career across the country to absorb all that I could. And I think over the course of X amount of years, I just became very good at what I was doing. And so what happens for me, what I'm experiencing with the people surrounding me, is there's this concept of, you're so good at this though. You're
Hmm.
so good at this. And I'm struggling. And this is important because I think for anyone that's taking a leap, especially if you've been doing something for a long time and
Yeah.
you're now in your 40s and you want to launch a whole new career, in our society, it's like, whoa. Like if you were in your 20s or 30s, okay, but you're, come on, and it's just like,
Yeah.
no, I actively have to go and shut it out, because I keep saying to myself, this time in 2 or 3 years, I'm going to be like, yeah, I did it. See? And people will
Yeah.
just be like, wow, she's a pilot, right? But right now, they only know me as radio announcer Lisa, program director Lisa. That this concept of getting up in an airplane and be like, hold on. Like, really? And yet so one of the things when you go to become a pilot, they encourage you to do a discovery flight. And a
Mm,
discovery flight is really what the name suggests. It's an opportunity for you to discover whether or not, when those wheels leaves the tarmac, you go, or you're like, oh my gosh, this was dumb, right? You're going to do one or the other, right?
mhm,
And as soon as, for me, the wheels left the tarmac, it was like a time warp back to when I was reporting the traffic, right?
mhm.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I love this. I love this. And being over the ocean, I remember looking at my instructor and I'm like, do you ever see whales? It was like
That's
the first thing I thought, because it's an incredible view. So everything about it for me was screaming yes. But when I
mm,
landed, everyone around me was like, well, you sure? I get that, the
yeah.
fear part of it, but for them, it was still very much, but you're so good at this. And you'll experience that stuff. And the challenging part is because these people are so important to you and their
Mm,
opinions matter. That's just the
yeah.
reality, that you have to be able to block it out and go, I am doing this. And I've had some, you know, firm conversations with,
Mhm,
mostly my husband, right? Because he's my biggest fan, and he's just like, you're just so good. And I'm
mhm.
just like, you got to stop with that. This is something I am doing, and I love that you think I'm so good at this, but I can also be so good at that. You know what I
Well,
mean? Like, there's nothing to say
and
I can't be.
And I wanna loop back to the discovery flight, and I love
Yeah.
that, and I think this is a great metaphor for anybody that's listening to this. What is the discovery flight for you, if whatever it is that you wanna do? I am actually gonna use that in a bunch of metaphors because
You should. Yeah.
yeah, because when we are making change, and it's true, there's always gonna be somebody else's opinion through the filter of their own rules, right?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
those rules are from fear. So when we're doing a discovery flight, it can actually alter the rules. And so I wonder if there's a way that you can either metaphorically or literally bring your husband or these what we can call naysayers, kind of for lack of a better term,
Yeah, yeah.
of how it is that you can bring them along on your discovery flight and not literally, not actually bring them on a flight,
Hmm.
but to bring them along to your like 2 or 3 years from now self. And how is
Yes.
it that they can actually meet your 2 or 3 years from now self? Because like you'll have your pilot license, you'll be able like because of where you live, you can literally fly from because you're in Victoria or something.
That's
Yeah.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can literally fly to Kelowna, you can fly to
Yeah.
Truro, you can
Yeah.
fly to Nanaimo, you can
Yeah.
fly to uh Duncan or like wherever you want.
Right. You can do, and then, so with piloting, it happens in stages similar to getting your driver's license. And again, really, you could use this across multiple platforms, because when you get your learners, you can't really do a whole lot. You're still very much in learn.
Yeah.
That's your private pilot's license. So you get your private first. And that's sort of where they're like, yay, good for you. Keep going.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with the learners, right? It means, yeah, you know how to operate a plane or
Mhm.
a car, whatever it is. But now you gotta handle the big thing. So for me, it was always seaplane. I mean, obviously we're an island, we're surrounded by oceans. We have a
Yeah.
million seaplanes. And that's really where my interest started. I was like, ooh, I want to fly those. And that is where you have multi-engine. Everybody that flies has to have a commercial license. So what you're doing is you're doing it in stages. And I really think that what is going to help um, my family, even though they are supportive, they're just also very much like, I think they're almost
They're
sad.
concerned.
You
They're
know, they're like,
concerned
we're
too.
really excited for this. Yeah, we're
Mhm.
sad and we're worried. We're sad because you're so good at this. Worried because it's an airplane. Um, but I think what will help them jump on board is, for lack of a better word,
Yeah, I was gonna say
is the
pardon the
fact that,
pun.
yeah, that worked out nice. Um, is watching those steps. Like once you get your private, you're up in the plane constantly building on your hours and building on your hours until,
Yeah.
you get your commercial and you're building on your hours and you're doing all of these things. And I think that is what helps those people around you start to understand this somewhat of a new identity, right? Because my identity is, for most people that know me, radio announcer. That's what I do. And that has become a big part of my identity. And then I just basically blurt out, oh, yeah, that one's going to stop, and they're just like, whoa, what? And it's like that. I had to do the same thing when my dad died. I had to basically walk away from everyone that knew me at that time because they only knew me as this close-knit family. And so the pity I felt all the time because he passed so suddenly, in order
Mhm.
for me to evolve and present myself to new people as a person I wanted them to know me as, I had to let the old ones go. It was a tough thing to
Yeah.
do, but I did that, right? And I feel like there's something from that experience and this experience, just not as like explosion in the middle of my life, right?
Mhm.
But needing to say, okay, I am doing this because this is the next progression for me. And it's not easy. It's by any means,
Well, and
but
I
it's fun.
think well, and life is meant to be fun, and the most important thing is that us as humans is that we're evolving. Like if we lived our whole life and said, "Oh, I'm going to do this for a living," and all of a sudden
Mhm.
you're stuck in that for your entire life, nobody wants to do that, right? Like
No.
no, even people like I have clients that they are in a job with like a good union and all this sort of stuff, but they always want a side hustle. Like they want something exciting because like the job that they have, it keeps certain things safe and secure, like for retirement, but they're bored.
Yeah.
So it's like we all need to be curious of how we can push ourselves and how, like, what can we experience in life? We are here to experience things. And I can't stress
It's
that enough. So it's
and
great.
that's what I've been saying is it's like we get one go of this, and somewhere along the line we've been taught, or have adapted to a concept that you figure out what career you want and then you stay there until you're ready to retire. And it now, luckily for me, I didn't grow up in that kind of house. My mom and dad were not like that. They were like, go live life.
Mhm.
And I think what's happened is that they find what I do very exciting and very, very
Oh,
fun to watch. And
yeah.
so they're looking at it going, no, 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 no. And I'm going, doesn't mean I can't do this. I'll always have the opportunity to do something in the industry. But in the next couple of years, I will step away and I will embrace something new. And I also have to be honest, a big part of this is my daughter, because I want her
I was
to
actually
be
gonna
very
mention that.
much aware. Yeah,
Yeah.
I want her
Yeah.
to reach high, but I want her to see her mom doing it. I want her to be like, wow, my mom, she's very much aware that I'm on the radio. I bring her on the radio with me. She's experienced that. And then she has come with me to the flight school and she's seeing me do this. And my hope is that as she gets older, because of her environment, she's able to see she can just reach for the things that are calling her name, right? Whether it's being up in the airplane or being in I don't care what she is wanting to do, if it's calling her to do it. But I want her to see her mom doing the things,
Mhm.
right? That her mom isn't pining, longing, or wishing she would have done things differently, but that
Right.
she's seeing me do them.
Yeah, so you're not holding yourself back. You're being a real role model for her to show her
Right.
that she can do whatever it is that she wants to do. And I want to loop
Exactly.
back to what you were saying in terms of people that see and hear you on the radio and they're like, "Oh, you're so amazing." And it's
Yeah.
almost like so my husband, he actually builds and restores race car engines, right?
Oh,
Which
okay. Wow.
well, so notice your reaction, right? Like, oh wow, right? So it's the
Wow.
same thing about you being on the radio. People will be like,
Yeah.
oh wow, right?
Yes.
Where if he was here right now, he'd be like, "Yeah, I work in a machine shop," right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's the same with you. You did something for almost 20 years and
Hmm.
you're just like, "Yeah, it's just on the radio," right? Like, you know the ins and
Yep.
outs, you met all the people, you know all the players, and it's just kind of like
Yeah.
you want something that fills you up with joy. And
It
yeah.
makes you it makes you come alive. Yeah, like it's you either live your life for you or you live your life for others. And if if I said, "Oh, but all of these people think that what I do is incredible and amazing," don't get me wrong, it is. I'm aware of
Mhm.
that. I'm aware that, not everybody can do radio, not everybody can do what you're doing or what your husband's doing. That's why we all have specialties and skills, right? I
Yeah.
get it. But how much would I be suffering inside if I said, "You know what? They're right. This is cool. I need to give that up and do this." And that's how much power, for lack of a better word,
Yeah.
I would be giving to those around me, that they're steering the course of my life simply by offering up their opinions and suggestions. I think you have to remind yourself it's yours, right? It's like this one go around.
Mhm.
And at the end of it, I want to be able to be like, wow, that was a ride.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah, and it's interesting for us as human beings, a lot of us, we don't like change. So
No.
we might come up like if you're listening to this that and you're thinking like, "Oh, you know what? I really want to do this. I really want to do that." Well, just go and do it. Figure it
Yeah.
out and go and do it.
Yes.
Or even get involved into whatever that industry is, right? Like
Mm, mm.
some of the people that I coach, they're like, "Oh, I'm not sure if I want to do this. I want to do that." And I'm like, "Go call people that are in that industry." And
Yes.
and they're just like, "Oh, well, I don't know, blah, blah, blah." Well, it's amazing how sometimes we can be in fear of
Yeah.
actually taking that
Yeah.
leap, right?
It's true. It's true. And
Mhm.
I actually can appreciate where that's coming from. Like, here's what will happen though. I'm fairly confident in saying this. When you are listening to your instincts, your intuition, the secret guide that's hovering over your ear going, when you're listening to that person, these little things happen in life that you're like, oh, that's weird. So, for example, here's a couple. I remember, I will never forget, we had only been back home for like a week, and we were on the highway, and I was driving past the Nanaimo airport, and out of nowhere, out of nowhere, I looked at my husband. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a flight school. I don't know what made me say it, but it just came flying out of my mouth. And he's like, okay. And we just
Again,
kept driving.
pardon the
And
pun, it just came flying out of your mouth.
yeah, see, another one. It's funny. I should be writing these down.
You
Um,
should. You totally should.
but I won't forget that moment because it's stuck
Yeah.
out in my head for a reason. And then now fast forward like a couple of weeks, I've got my little girl at a park, and this man with his little girl also at the park. And I don't know, we were just chit chatting, which is what you do when you're standing at the park with your little people. And he happens to say, "Oh, what brought you back to BC?" And I'm like, "Oh, work." And "What do you do?" "I'm a radio announcer." Same thing. Cool. He's like, "Yeah, we ended up coming back here for work as well." So naturally, I'm like, "What do you do?" He's like, "I'm a pilot." And I'm like, "You're kidding me, right?" And so we start talking about, him being a pilot and what he does. And then just last week, across from where we live, there is this the complex has like a community center where there's a pool and everything. So I'm sitting there with the little one, and these two ladies are sitting there and they introduce themselves and we're chatting, and I don't just through conversation I'm telling them, I'm a radio announcer, but I'm studying to do my piloting. Oh my gosh, my husband is the recruitment officer for Emirates. I'm like, you're not serious. And so we ended up starting this texting conversation. And she's like, my husband will be here on the 30th. Come on over, ask all the questions you want. Now, I personally am not interested in going overseas. Like, I don't want to be a commercial pilot with, a 747 going, because I have to leave my little girl, and that won't work. However, um, it helps to know as many people in the industry as possible, just like with radio. And there just seem to be like coming into my world, as a way for the universe. Because so many times in my head, I'm like, am I doing the right thing? Because people get into your head, right?
Yeah.
And the universe always seems to go boink, as if they're letting me know, yeah, you're fine. Keep going, And I think that is a big part of what's happening just in the world today. Like, I feel like the world is just experiencing this explosion of longing to connect, not just to people, but to
I agree.
themselves,
Yeah, I agree. I have an interesting story. So my brother lives out on the island. He's in Duncan.
Oh, nice. Oh my gosh, that's like right beside me, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. And so so I went out to BC with a girlfriend of mine, and she had to do some work. So we both flew into Vancouver, and then I took one of the float planes over into Duncan specifically.
Harbor Air, yeah.
Yeah. So like I've never been on like a small plane at this point. At this point.
Yeah.
Now I've been like
Yeah.
lots of times, but I've never been. So um I go up to the plane, and the pilot, he's like, you haven't been on a small plane before? I'm like, no. So there's a couple of commuters, and they're just like, hey, we'll sit in the front, right? So the front seat, like with
Cool.
the passenger seat, I guess.
Yeah.
Is it
Yeah.
still called a passenger seat? Is it a passenger seat in an airplane? Is that what's called?
Well, it would actually be the co-pilot seat, but I don't know
Okay.
if in the seaplanes they only have the one, which would make that available to the passenger. But yeah, they would call it passenger
Okay.
for the flight. Yeah.
Yeah, so I got the headset on and stuff like that. And for me, like I am always in curiosity because well, what I do for a living, people fascinate me, things fascinate
Sure.
me. So here I
Yeah.
am.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's that? What's that for? What does that mean? What does that meter do? What is this? And I'm like asking all these questions, and he's killing himself laughing. He thought I was just a riot, right? Which most people do sometimes, but so I'm asking all these things. Then I'm like, he's like, oh, so where are you from? I'm like, Burlington. He's like, no way. And I'm like, yes way. So he's actually originally from Burlington. And
Isn't it crazy?
yeah, and he was flying in a plane up in Muskoka. And then him and his family decided to move out so that he can fly a plane out where you are. Right. So I'm like, what a small world. And so we had to go down into Salt Spring Islands to like drop
Nice.
people off, pick people up. And he's like, yeah, well, I better get some gas. I'm like, you might want to get some gas. Yeah, because I'm asking all the meters and stuff. And there was like two gauges for gas tanks. And so he
Yes, that's
gets
right.
gas and he gets back into the to the airplane. And I'm like, I thought you just got gas. And he's like, I did. I go, but that didn't move. And he's like, it's okay. I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure we're gonna be okay? And he's killing himself laughing. I'm like giving him the gears, pardon the pun. And
There's lots of those today.
yeah, right. But I kept on saying, I'm like, are we gonna like get up and like, cause that did not move. And he's like, we're fine. We're fine. Right. Like half of me was kind of serious, but half of me was like, yeah, I trust you. You're a
Is
commercial.
this
What
guy
am I
sure?
doing? But yeah, but the cool thing about being a pilot is it just gives you more freedom. Right. So
Yeah.
yeah, in neurolinguistics, we talk about freedom-minded people and security-minded people. So
Mhm.
you're very freedom-minded and your husband is probably very security-minded. I'm the same way.
Yes.
I'm very freedom, husband very security. So
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
natural for him.
It'd be like if you came home, what would your husband say if you're like, I'm going to become a pilot? I'm sure he would. There's the fear.
Oh
Don't
yeah.
get me wrong. I really appreciate the fear people feel. If you're not someone who likes heights, and I jumped out of airplanes, right? Like, I love heights, and so it never bothered me. The height thing, I don't even feel it. Like, when the wheels leave, that is not what's going through my mind. I'm going, how long till we're up to like the fullest feet here,
Yeah.
I'm not
You
worried.
you
I
and
don't
I
even
would
think
be
about that.
you and I would be in the plane going, woohoo. Ooh,
Yes,
yeah.
100%. Like me,
Yeah.
I'm just like, I don't know why. But I will tell you, now that I'm doing it, I completely agree. Flying a plane is so much easier than flying a car or than driving a car.
Oh,
It
very
is true.
cool.
Like planes do it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So your eyes are supposed to be out your window like 99% of the time. Every
Yeah.
once in a while, just like when you drive your car, you quickly look at your speedometer and then you look back.
Yeah.
It's the same thing because the plane is, this one time I went up and it was beautiful. Like right now, it's blue skies and sunshine. So we were fine, but we're driving through in between mountains. And out here, after you get your license, you have to take a course for mountain flying specifically, right? That's obviously very
Hmm.
important.
Okay.
And
I
yeah,
wouldn't
you
have even
have to,
thought
because
it.
I
I
mean,
would have
that's all we
never.
have here,
So
right?
hold on.
And
So hold on. Teach us about mountain flying because I wouldn't even have thought about that. So
oh,
what is,
yeah.
yeah. So what is that?
So for example, when I was up, it's a beautiful day. We're in between, so we're in the middle and surrounding us is nothing but mountains. And we're kind of driving through the middle of them. And the plane goes, terrain, pull up. And if you don't listen, it gets louder. Terrain, pull up. And so I'm looking at the GoPro, I'm like, what's going on? And he goes, well, you can see that we're nowhere near the mountains, but the sensors in the plane pick up on the fact that we're near mountains. He said, so right now, you got nothing to worry about. It's blue skies and sun. But you're going to fly when you can't see any of these mountains because the clouds are so low. And that's when the plane's saying, hey, terrain, pull up. You better pull up because you
Mhm.
can't see. So in order to understand that, because that's on a small scale, it's obviously very in depth. We as pilots having passengers in the plane have to know how to navigate
Yeah.
our way through mountains because that's what surrounds BC.
And
So we need to have that extra course, and I want that extra course. And learning, even being up there and listening to the plane scream at us, terrain pull up. You can imagine that on a foggy day where it's nothing but rain,
yeah.
thick clouds, a plane is screaming at you, terrain pull up. It's
I
like,
wish
I'm pulling up, hold on,
I
so
wish we had one of those in life. Can you imagine like
no
something
kidding.
like there'll be like a situation going on and all here's terrain, pull up. It's like,
Yes,
"Oh,
yes, yes,
okay,
yes.
maybe
And
that's
you're
not
like,
a good
wait.
decision, right?
Oh man, would that make this whole journey a whole lot easier.
Yeah. So what
Yeah, it's an incredible thing, right? I get the fear behind it, but I get the enjoyment. It's not easy though. I will say, as much fun as we're talking about having the logistics of it at my age, you have homes, you're raising kids, you have a lifestyle
Mhm,
built on a certain level, let's just say it, of income,
mhm.
that you can't just throw caution to the wind and be like, screw that, I'm going to start a career. You have to have, hopefully, the support system behind you where we're
Yeah.
like, okay, so let's structurally put this together. And my husband's so amazing. As much as he would love to hear me say, that's it, I'm staying in radio, he's supportive 100%. Like we've figured it out structurally how we're going to make this happen, how many times a week I go up, all that kind of stuff. And you plan, because I truly believe those that plan succeed and those that wing it fail. And I
Mhm.
think if you can plan for yourself, if you can say, okay, I want to be a painter, I want to design clothes, I want to be a dancer, whatever it is, you're able to sit down with yourself or your support system and come up with a plan. I have to do this right now in addition to trying to do this. It's no different than when you work at, I don't know, McDonald's while you're
Yeah.
trying to get your degree from university. You have to structure it to figure out how you're going to do that. It's the same thing when you get older and you have homes and kids and everything else, right? It's
Mhm.
an important aspect when you're switching careers at this stage, I think, and not one that can be overlooked.
Yeah, and so it's so amazing. Every time we get together, like time goes by like that. It is so
So fast.
interesting. Yeah, and we'll probably do a few more of these because I love the metaphors. I love the fact that you're modeling for not just your daughter, but for a lot of people that are thinking about shifting things in their life, but they're in fear, right? So we definitely need to get an update on this thing, but
Absolutely.
But what do you want to leave people with? Or even like I know you are going to be shifting careers, but maybe where people can find you now. I know like if they or what do you want to leave people with right now?
I share a lot. I will be sharing a lot more of the actual up in the air
Mm.
experiences that I'm having as I get more and more skilled and comfortable taking those video. Right now is
Mhm.
not the time, but in time I will be, and that
And
will be found on my social media pages, which for TikTok and
I'm
Instagram, it's Chatty Chick is where
I
you can find me
for
there.
chatty chick, and
Chatty.
I just want to point out that like the up in the air, it's not literally like it's literally up in the air, not just like, well, everything's up in the air,
Oh
right?
gosh, no, I mean in the plane. I'm taking people with me in
Literally
the
up
plane.
in
You're
the
up
air.
in the air.
Air. That's
I may
awesome.
even have to change my handle there from Chatty Chick to something. We have so many puns going on
Oh
this
my god.
particular episode.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And I think it makes people remember things when it's more fun and comedic.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
And that's why I think you and I get along so well because we find the comedic undertone of stuff and so
100%.
passionate. And so
Yeah.
yeah, so people can find you on Chatty.
Chatty Chick for Instagram and TikTok. And you can also listen to me. I talk a lot about my me getting my license on air still. And
Mm,
I'm at 101.5 Go FM. It's in
mhm,
Kelowna, and you can
mhm.
find that right on the iHeart app. So if you go 101.5 Kelowna, it will pop up and you can listen there. I'm on from 10 to 2 every day.
Awesome. And
Yeah.
so when we're gonna have all of your links so everybody can find you and listen to you. And I encourage everybody to do so because you're such an advocate for all humans to
Oh,
be
thank you.
better, do better. Well, you and I, that's kind of when we first met. We were very much in alignment about that because we do want
Yeah,
to see,
100%.
yeah, we want to see everybody doing well and fulfilling their life in so many ways.
Living their best life. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's it.
absolutely. And it comes with unimaginable risk sometimes, and if you can take the risk, if you can, and it's bumpy at first, and I'm sure we'll have further talks about this, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's not like this smooth sailing, and it's bumpy, there's
That's
lonely
the best
moments, there's
part.
uncertain. What's that?
That's the best part.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. Like you're gonna have that stuff. Like it was like that for me in radio. It was like there was lonely moments where I'm like, I never should have moved here. And then there was like unbelievably exciting moments that I couldn't wait to see, how it all unfold. And it's the same thing when you're starting a new career. But I would love to, if anyone's listening and they have more questions or anything, they can always reach out. Happy to help out for sure.
Mhm. Well, thank you again, and it's always a pleasure seeing you
Thank you so
and
much for having me. Thank you.
yeah, and chatting with you. So we'll definitely do this again to get another update because this is awesome. Just you being a pilot, like that this I'm so excited to get an update and for I
Thanks.
know that everybody listening will want the update too.
I get to take friends and family up in the air to achieve my hours. So get your butt out here. You
I
can come
will
up with me.
I actually will be out there visiting my brother next year.
Oh, perfect. Okay,
Yeah,
well, we'll be seeing each other for sure.
awesome.
Well, folks, that's a wrap for today's episode of The Root of It All with Tree. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. But before we go, I just wanted to remind you that you can follow us on social media. You can find us on Facebook or Instagram. And we will be posting motivational quotes and behind the scenes content that you won't want to miss. You can always sign up to come live while we're filming this, or even join us online through Zoom. We always offer open question and answer after each episode that we don't record, so it's all private, but you can get more involved. So sign up for free at businessgrowthresults.com, and we're going to cover all kinds of different topics that you're not